Hello, and welcome back to my learning block. I'm glad you're here, right? We're moving on with these mathematical strategies, and you have decided to join me in division. Yes, it's going to be fun. Yes. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to work on long division, how to teach the steps of long division. You know, I'm sure you may remember it as a child. If you don't, this is a good place. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on learning how to teach our children to get to that method of dividing. You know, dividing, which is the act of separating objects or numbers into parts. It's the partitioning of objects, as you will. Well, it's like, for instance, let's say, and I'm gonna grab my pen here. Let's say that you have some candy, right? And then you have a group of kids and you want to share the candy amongst the kids equally, because if you don't, someone will cry and be sad, and we don't want sadness. So we have to partition. We have to learn how to do equal shares, and in a moment it won't get so equal. But today you've caught us at a time where we're not really working on remainders. So if you're looking for remainders, we do have another video, but for here we're working on using that strategy of long division without remainders. So division, it is the inverse of multiplication. It's the opposite. It is the night to multiplication's day. All right. If your child understands multiplication, then division, for the most part, it is just as simple. It is taking those numbers from groups, taking groups and now, well, taking a large and putting it into groups, whereas multiplication is taking a bunch of groups and counting them up really fast. So division is the inverse of multiplication, and it's repeated subtraction in a lot of sense. So if 3 times 4 equals 12, then we know definitely that 12 divided by 4 equals 3, or even more so, 12 divided by 3 equals 4. And also, if 9 times 8 is 72, then 72 divided by 8 equals 9, or 72 divided by 9 equals 8. It's pretty much that same inverse property. You want your child to understand that, because it's just as important, and it helps them understand multiplication and division just the same as addition to subtraction. So let's start working on how we teach this process now. So I've taken the number 189 divided by 9. I knew that this number would not have a remainder, because the multiples of 9, you know, to find out if 9 is a multiple of a number, you simply count these numbers up. 1 plus 8 equals 9, 9 plus 9 equals 18. If it is a multiple of 9, then it will divide evenly. All right. I know I talked a little fast. Go check out our 9s video, multiples of 9, and it will help you out if you're a little mixed up on what that all is about, and it'll really help your child with a lot. I love 9s. But anyway, 189 divided by 9. Now, when you are dealing with division and teaching division, you want to teach your child these steps. First, you divide, then you multiply, then you subtract. So divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. And I forgot this out, but you want to definitely make sure that you check. So between each step, you pretty much check to make sure you're covered. If not, you can have a whole mess of things and you wonder where your problem has gone and what's wrong with it, right? It's okay. Take your time. All right, so when you're working with your child, remember, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. And so what I'll do on this page, and you'll see that over there, divide, multiply, subtract, and then bring down. All right, so, and that's an R, by the way, subtract. All right, so divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. And so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna put it in a box. And the reason why I did this is because sometimes it's easier to manage. You have some kids that can work on a plane such as this because they're used to it, but you have some kids that work in this boxed section. What it does is it basically puts constraints on their thinking. in a good way. It makes them focus in this general area. All right, so we're gonna work on box division. I'm sorry, if you want another style of division, check us out. We have them. Just search division in the top somewhere up there. All right, so we're gonna start off and we're gonna divide 9 into each of these 3 numbers. So we have 3 division problems essentially. So 9 divided by 1 equals 0. Good. All right. So 9 divided by 1 is 0. It's not going to happen. So we divide it. Now we're going to multiply. 9 times 0 equals 0. Good. And yes, I do like starting in that hundreds place, even if the number is not divisible. And that's simply because your child will then work out the process completely. They won't start skipping steps, because if they do, they may get lost. So make sure you allow them to start with step number 1. They're going to start step number 1 at the place, even if it's obvious. Allow them to do that until they get comfortable. Then they can start moving steps. But I'm going to start right here. 9 times 0 is 0. Then I have subtract. So I will subtract. It equals 1. And then I check to make sure I'm right. Yes. And finally, I bring down my 8. Perfect. All right. So now I have 18 divided by 9. And I think last time I said 9 divided by 1. That would be 9, of course. Well, 1 divided by 9. So 18 divided by 9 is 2. And 2 times 9, well, I divided. 2 times 9 equals 18. So now I subtract. 18 minus 18 equals 0. I check. Okay, so far so good. And I bring down my 9. So now I have 9 divided by 9. First step, divide. 9 divided by 9 equals 1. Now I'm going to multiply. 9 times 1, or 1 times 9 equals 9. Then I subtract. 9 minus 9 equals 0. I check over my problem one last time. I think to myself, is there anything to bring down? No. My answer is 21. Now, your child needs to get to a point where they need to check their work. And I make sure I instruct my students all the time. Check over your work. So now we're going to come over here and we're going to check our work. 21 times 9. And hopefully it gives us 189, or you watch this video in vain. All right, 9 times 1 equals 9. 9 times 2 equals 18. And that is a terrible 8. I'm sorry I drew it like that. And so it's 189, which is the same, which is a great problem. Enjoy working with your child on this. It will really help them, give them a lot of tools and strategies to work with. This is just one more strategy that will help them out. Look for our resources as well. It'll help supplement some education. All right, thank you again for joining me on my learning block. I look forward to seeing you next time, and keep learning with me.